Today, we're going to be talking about what I find as one of the most useful life-saving skills, which is safety planning. So, what is safety planning? Safety planning is used for when someone is feeling suicidal, feeling as a danger to themselves or as a danger to others, is thinking about how they might hurt themselves, how they might hurt others, maybe has some plans to hurt themselves or hurt others. That's a great time to have safety planning in place. Even if someone isn't fully on the intention side of those plans, being able to have a plan to know what to do if you're feeling suicidal, if you're feeling so distressed and dysregulated, is really helpful. When you're in a dysregulated state, it's hard to know what to do. Your mind is thinking not clearly. It's thinking about a lot of things, but it's usually not thinking through clearly, and it's usually not thinking about, well, what can I really do that would be helpful to make myself feel better and to lower my distress and my dysregulation. So when someone has a suicide attempt, it tends to kind of follow this type of trajectory. We see here that there is an escalation. This is when someone might be having suicidal thoughts. Maybe there is triggering events. Maybe they may be thinking about how they might want to hurt themselves or end their life. And this can lead up to this pivotal point, which is an attempt. Sometimes, and a lot of times for some people, after they've had an attempt that has been unsuccessful or has been interrupted or has been aborted, there can be this fear and relief. And so the escalation tends to tone downwards. What we want to do with a safety plan is essentially elongate this peak here so that it doesn't lead into attempt mode, but to have some things in place to know what to do in order to intervene. And that's where safety planning can come into use. In my experiences, safety plans are often done really quickly in a rush state and aren't very thorough. Sometimes providers or hospitals will just have them to get them down and have their clients or patients fill them out. But I find that safety plans, if they're really going to be useful, we might as well do them right. And so that's why I decided to make my own safety plan template to use with my clients, because I wanted it to be really clear what the safety plan was asking, and two, I wanted it to be really specific. The safety plan is meant to be done in a chronological order. It's laid out in a very specific way. And so we'll walk through each one of the steps and talk about how we can specify this. So you'll see here, this is what the safety plan looks like. Right at the top here, we have a space where I will have my client put their name so that they know it's their safety plan. And then we'll move into step one. So step one is the warning signals. How do I know when I'm starting to feel like I might need to use my safety plan? How will I know when I'm starting to feel very down, suicidal, angry, or distressed? What are some indicators that I should be using this plan? What are warning signs of crisis? So here there are some particular questions to help folks think about, well, what exactly is a warning sign? Are there particular thoughts or images that come into my mind? Do I feel certain sensations in my body? Does my behavior change? Do certain situations activate these feelings? What routines do I break? Hygiene care, socializing, work, school assignments. So some folks who are students may notice that they are starting to feel suicidal and depressed when they haven't been to class in 3 days or haven't left their dorm in a week, haven't seen anyone. Some folks may know that they're starting to feel suicidal when they are thinking through how they might go about to harm themselves, when they're thinking about what means they might be using, how to acquire those means. That would be a huge warning signal for somebody. Some folks may know they're starting to feel suicidal because they start to isolate, their behavior changes. Maybe they notice themselves giving away their possessions or thinking about what they might do with their pets for when they are no longer living. These are all warning signals. So whenever we're filling out any part of the safety plan, we want to make it really specific. So I will encourage clients to write exactly what we're talking about. So there's no guesswork. The safety plan is the last place we want to do any guessing. We don't want to just write something down and assume, oh, we'll figure that out. We'll know what that means. We want it really specific and really clear. So have not showered or brushed my teeth for 3 days. Have not been in contact with anybody on text or in person in a week. So putting down these different warning signals. So that's step 1, is how do we know when we need to use a safety plan? Then we head into step 2, internal coping strategies. Some questions to ask yourself for step 2. What are some things that you can do to take your mind off of your problems without contacting another person? We'll talk about contacting another person in our later steps, but right now, this is just for yourself. What can you do on your own to help yourself feel better or to help take your mind off things? Some examples might be some relaxation techniques, such as 5-3-2-1 grounding, physical activities such as doing yoga, going for a walk around the neighborhood, playing tennis with my partner. Things that make you laugh or smile. I know that I really enjoy puppy videos on Instagram, and I notice that I can't stop smiling when I see them. Reading, journaling, art, music, counting to 10, taking 5 whole deep breaths in and out, doing box breathing, doing dragon breathing. So these are things that you can do just on your own without reaching out to another person. And these are the first places that we want to try. So like we said, the safety plan goes in a chronological order. So first we want to see what we can manage on our own. Again, want to be super specific here. So if we're going to put music down as listening to music as something that's an internal coping strategy, what playlists, what artists? You don't want to have to put the guesswork into it, because if you look at your safety plan and you see music, you might again be in a dysregulated state and not know where to turn. So let's take the guesswork out of it. Next up, we have step 3. This is distraction providers. These are people and places and social settings that provide distraction or help you to feel better. This isn't where you ask people for help. We're not at that step yet. We're just trying to be in connection or communication or in contact with people or places that help you feel better. Who or where can help you take your mind off of things. Now, something to keep in mind is if you have a safety plan where a place that helps take you off your mind is a place that may be dangerous to you. So let's say being around water when you have thoughts of how you might drown yourself would be dangerous to you when you're feeling suicidal, but you really like being around water because that's a distraction provider. That's not for the safety plan. So we want to keep the places and distraction providers safe for you. If your car is an unsafe place for you to be when you're in a suicidal state, then places that are in walking distance to you, or places that you can ride a bike to, or take public transportation. So we want to be really mindful, whatever we choose as our distraction providers, that these are also safe distraction providers. So a person who tends to rile you up and you have a lot of negative interactions with might not be the best distraction provider when you're in a suicidal state. So we want to put the name of the person and the phone number. As best as we can, we want to select 2 people. And the places. Again, being really specific. So not just outside, but where outside, which park, which neighborhood. Have it be really clear. Now, which coffee shop. Then we move on to step 4. So let's say you go through step 1, 2, and 3, and you are still feeling really dysregulated. You have done every single item on your internal coping strategies and your distraction providers, and you are still feeling in a dysregulated state, in a suicidal state. This is when you go to step 4. So you keep going on the safety plan if you find that you are still in a really suicidal state. Step 4 is supportive people whom you can ask for help. So who can you ask or call for help? This may be family members, and this may be school or work personnel, religious leaders, a trusted friend, partner, etc. What do you want to communicate that you need? It's great to know who you can ask for help, but if you don't know what you're going to ask them for, it's going to be kind of hard to get help. So what kind of help can each of these people give you? Again, we'll put their name and their phone number and what we would ask for help for them if we were to call them from our safety plan. Again, super specific here. Can you help me by telling me a joke? Can you help me by reminding me you love me? Can you help me schedule an appointment? Can you help me by driving me to the hospital? Can you help me by reminding me what our relationship means to you? Can you help me stay safe by holding on to my keys or locking up my medication? So again, going through each one of these people, if you are still feeling in a suicidal state, let's go on to step 5. A great tip for step 4 is if somebody is on your safety plan, it might be helpful to give them a copy of the safety plan so they know how they can help you as well if you feel comfortable doing that. Or if you don't feel comfortable giving them the safety plan, maybe just letting them know that they're on it and that you may ask for help in a particular way. Next is step 5, reaching out to your mental health provider. This step is for non-crisis scenarios. And the things you want to check on, do you have an appointment coming up with your therapist and or psychiatrist? Can you reach out and ask if there's a sooner available time to meet? So for my clients, I go ahead and put my name, my phone number, and my email address on here. I let them know this is for non-crisis scenarios, and essentially what that means is I can't be reached 24/7. And so if somebody's needing to be reached at any time of the day, then it's best to move on to step 6. But for a non-crisis scenario, making sure that you have an appointment on the books with your therapist and your medication management provider or your PCP, your doctor, is a great start, just to make sure that that is there. Then we move on to step 6. This is for crisis mental health services. And what's different here is that these services are available at any time. There's no off hours. It's 24/7, 365. There are a few different options on here. There's, of course, a 911 or a 988. The 988 is essentially 911 for suicidality or mental health crises. I always encourage clients to put one of these phone numbers in their phone, whichever one they are most likely to contact. They don't need to have all of them in there. They don't need to have it listed as suicide crisis line. They can have it listed as any type of contact that they want to have, but it's great to not have to look that up and put it in your phone, or remember 988. Another option is to go to your nearest emergency room. You can also have if you're in the Charlotte area, have the Atrium Behavioral Health Crisis Line send their mobile crisis unit to you. So let's say you've gone through step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've done every single thing that's on your safety plan. Some of these items have different lines, and you may have more than the lines that are provided. Feel free to write in as many options as you need and that you can think of. It's great to always have more options than not enough options. But let's say you've gone through every single one of your options. Then we move on to step 7. Step 7 is about making the environment safe. This involves thinking about what are some items or places that may be unsafe for you when your warning signals are high. How can you limit access to things that could harm you? I know, and most people know, that if you wanted to get access to something dangerous to you, that you probably could. But we want to think about the things that you consider as tempting to access that are dangerous, and how we can create barriers between you and those dangerous things. How can we add steps? What can you do to increase those steps and barriers between the dangerous items, places, or things? So for example, this might be removing guns or other weapons from your home, separating the ammunition from your weapons and keeping the ammunition in a locked box, keeping the weapons in a box that needs a key, having medications locked up or managed by somebody else, or frozen in a bag that is inside your freezer that is inside another bag of ice. Removing sharp objects, dumping liquid substances or alcohol down the drain, staying away from substances. It's not necessarily that substances are bad, but when you are in a suicidal state, having an altered conscience probably isn't the best decision. Locking away car keys, staying away from high surfaces, staying away from bodies of water. Again, we want to make it really specific here. Lastly, what is on our safety plan is the reasons for living. You know that when you might be in a suicidal state, what is the thing that you need to hear? What's important for you to remember? What's important for you and that's worth living for? This is where you put that. If all else fails and you need to remind yourself of that one thing or that 2 things or those 3 things, this is where you put them. What are the reasons to remind yourself to choose life? At the end of a safety plan, I have this quote here by John Kabat-Zinn. It says, "As long as you're breathing, there's more right with you than wrong with you." I encourage my clients, if there's a quote that feels meaningful for them, they can cross that out and put one that they like better instead. So now you have a completed safety plan. Awesome. What's next? What's the use of a safety plan if we don't use it ever again? We want to put the safety plan in its home. And essentially what this involves is making multiple copies of the safety plan, using a copy machine or scanning it and printing it out, and putting it in places that are of high risk to you. So let's say your medicine cabinet, when you are feeling suicidal, is very tempting and high risk for you and unsafe for you. Put a copy of your safety plan in your medicine cabinet. If your car is an unsafe place for you when you're feeling suicidal, copy goes in there. Of course, with technology these days, it's really easy to have everything on your phone. If that's something that's always with you and it would be helpful to have your safety plan on the go, download a copy there. There's also some apps that can help you create a safety plan as well that could be helpful to check out. It can also be helpful to share the safety plan with your therapist, your psychiatrist, or your doctor so that they can have a record of it on file as well. Anybody who's on the safety plan might benefit from having a copy or just being told that they are on the safety plan and knowing how they can support you in those times.